Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
After over 100 episodes, I've asked every guest, what are their most influential books? And so I've compiled a list of the most common books that kept coming up over and over. So I call this list the top 30 books that every man must live by. These books will help you become a better man faster than any other set of books out there. You can get this for free if you get your phone and text right now. Go ahead, you can whip out your phone. I know it's there. I'll wait. Still waiting. And just go ahead and text KFM free, one word, to 38470. Again, that's KFM free to 38470. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Mike Michalowicz. It's his third time on the show. He's just been crushing it, so I got to get him back on. He's the author of the cult classic of The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, The Pumpkin Plan, and Profit First. Mike, happy to have you here on the show.
And it's a hat trick, Andrew. I'm totally jazzed.
I love the energy. I'm feeling this is going to be a great episode here. And since I've had you on the show twice already, I thought, we kind of change it up and do something different. And I keep getting these emails. They want to create some more freedom in their life, or they want to get out of debt, or they want to slowly transition from their corporate job into a side hustle, into their part-time job, and make that their main thing. So I thought it'd be really cool if we kind of put together this episode on just how to earn your first $1,000 a month, and then kind of create a plan on how they can take it to $10,000 a month.
I love the subject. Let's totally dig into it.
Yeah, this is it's a subject that I think everyone's like, no, this is it. Like, turn up the mic. Let's.
I've been waiting for this one, man.
It's taking
pull the car over.
Pull the car over. So yeah, let's just start off with what are the first steps? So the guy has a corporate job. Let's say he's got a family and a mortgage. So it's unlikely for him to just do, I guess, what I did, where I just quit and then just started a blog and podcast. But I had no mortgage and I had no kids. So I think, I really want to focus on that target.
Yeah. And I went all in too. There's advantages to that. But I'll tell you the one biggest advantage you have when you kind of dip your toe in the water is it's the ultimate laboratory experience. When a guy like you or I get started and you go all in, very quickly you feel the pressure. This has to be successful. So generally we stay narrow within what we do. You start a podcast and you find that, what you envision to be true, it doesn't come true, but it's usually a variant of that. And when I went into doing computers, I had stayed in computers because I had made an all-in bet. But if you start off, and I've seen many people go through this experience, if you start off by experimenting and start off where you have some form of income coming in, so you have sustainability, the opportunity that guys like you and I don't have is you can try it out, see if it works or not, see if you like it or not, and then try something new into infinitum. I mean, you can just keep doing it until you find something that really, really connects with you and connects with your customers.
I like that. I think when he has a job, he can make more calculated decisions because he has income coming in already. It's not like, if this doesn't work, I'm not eating.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like that's the fear when you start a business and you go all in on it and there's not enough money to pay for your food or whatever. You absolutely have to make it work. And so they say desperate people do desperate things. Often we'll take desperate actions and take on clients or deliver services or products that we don't think we normally would, but because we need the money so badly, it becomes very appealing. When you're starting off slowly, if it doesn't feel right, you don't have to do it. And that's your advantage.
That's a huge advantage. I think that goes a lot into, even though I was like, we've already talked about your books, but that kind of reminds me of the Pumpkin Plan, which is like you take on all these clients you don't want, and then you end up building this monster of a business that you didn't even want in the first place.
Yeah. So in the Pumpkin Plan, it's funny. the pumpkin plan brings us to the point we're discussing right now. If you start your own business and go all in on it, sometimes it necessitates that you do outside the box. I shouldn't say outside the box, the things outside your scope of offering. And you have to just to bring money in. But when a business gets to a point where it's bringing in enough revenue, then what I teach in the pumpkin plan is now you need to pick what resonates with you, what you love to do, and the customers that you love doing it for, and focus on that niche. It'll take off. Ironically, if you're starting and you already have a job, you don't have to worry about that sustainability. It's addressed, at least for now, and you can start pumpkin planning like literally from day one, picking what you like to do the most and matching up to clients that you enjoy doing business with the most. Because once you figure that element out, that's the stuff you want to clone. You want to do more of it, and you focus on that area.
I like that. I think so many businesses will fall into that category and then just think, I hate businesses. I hate business. You know what? The corporate job wasn't so bad after all. And you end up building what you kind of resent, and that goes down a bad path.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of businesses go down that because some of us get stuck in the corporate job, but we feel stuck because it's bringing that sustainability to our personal lives. It's bringing in the money. And when we leave that arena to go full bore into a business, it could very quickly go to the exact same scenario where we are dependent on this business's success because it feeds us sustainability. Therefore, we do anything. It goes off the tracks of where we envisioned it to go. It goes down a path we don't like. And so now we resent it. But the irony is you got to work even harder than ever before. In the corporate world, you slack, you slow down, the corporate machine keeps moving along, the other people there keep moving along, and you still get your paycheck. At your own business, you're off for one day and you hate it and it's not working, you're going to feel that. Even if it's working and things are going well and you're off for a day, you're still going to feel it in the early stages. So the pain is that much greater if you go down the wrong path with your own business.
Absolutely. So let's start off with like a big idea, like the first step, the first stage is like the guy wants to create a side business. He's kind of like how does he go about, what kind of methods can he go through to find some, ideas, some problems that he can start to solve?
Yeah. So the first thing is, what are the challenges you've faced yourself? So I think there's a couple steps. First of all, what challenges have you faced and what frustrates you? What can you solve? What have you already fixed for yourself? The reason that's appealing is because if you fix problems for yourself and there's potential that other people want that same problem fixed, you already know the customer base. It's you. It gives you a leg up of just as opposed to just trying to provide a solution to random customers. So just observe your own life. What frustrates you and can you fix? You're shoveling the driveway and it's hurting your back. What's the solution to that? What would you develop for yourself? And now you may be developing a product or something that you can cook up and sell to others.
I like this idea of just kind of looking for existing problems in your own life. And because you probably have more, that's probably your advantage right there, because you know probably more about that problem than someone else would. And so that's kind of like your competitive advantage, if you will.
Oh, it totally is. When I started writing books, I love to read books, but I found, wow, there's so many of them are so academic. I don't feel connected with the author like we're at a bar with our arm over the shoulder. And I said, that's what frustrates me. I'm going to provide that solution. So I started writing books for that, for me, really, and found a group of people, readers, that now resonate with that style. And this is true in any industry. And it doesn't have to be a product. It could be a service too. What frustrates you? You have a dog and you got to keep cleaning up the yard every day because of it. Well, other people are frustrated by that too. Start a dog cleanup service. There's an infinite number of potential frustrations and challenges we face from big to small every single day that are begging for a solution.
It's really almost like a mindset shift too, because instead of just being annoyed by problems and just going, I hate that.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, that's just, gosh. You're kind of you're like, oh, wow, well, that's actually an opportunity. Oh, like, how could I start that? Oh, like, how could I get clients? Like, and you start looking at it in like a proactive, like a positive way of how you could actually benefit from that problem.
So totally. And now here's another little secret is the corporation you already work for, you may have frustrations within the corporation that you can solve and then do it the ultimate spin, which is you start creating the product and service and then ultimately sell it to them. And my friend did this.
Oh my God.
My friend did this. He worked for a major pharmaceutical, didn't like working there, but what he noticed was when a pharmaceutical company, say Roche or whatever. I'm just picking a random name. It wasn't them. But say they are selling a drug. We'll say Viagra because everyone recognizes that name. So say they're just selling Viagra. Well, they would make an advertising campaign that would run across the nation. But what they would notice that in, say, Chicago, the advertising campaign had great success, but in New York, it had less success. So he realized that the frustration they were experiencing was that marketing changed regionally because the makeup of Chicago, ethnically, age-wise, is different than New York, and that's different than New Orleans too. So they all need kind of customized, catered marketing. So he started to set out just to figure out how to solve that problem. He figured it out. He then sold it back to his own company that he was working for, broke off to become a consultant, start his own business, and now provides that service not only to that company, but dozens of pharmaceuticals.
I think that's like the ultimate.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The ultimate spin, right? You got to be, it takes some cojones though, because if you go back to your boss and say, hey, I want to sell you something, and he fires you on the spot, that's the risk.
Well, then let's say like first you'd want to validate your idea. What are the best ways to validate whether something's going to work or whether people would pay you using, minimal time?
Yeah.
Probably, most likely we'd like to use no money if possible.
Of course. Well, here's the ultimate validator. Well, let me tell you what's not actually and what people do. Most people ask friends or contacts they have and say, what do you think of this idea? That is the biggest mistake. And the reason is because when people don't have to put their wallets on the line, they will tell you what's socially appropriate. If I went to you, Andrew, and said, I have a new idea to replace whiteout with this new thing, you put paint on your thumb and just rub your thumb over your notes and they'll white it out for you. What do you think? Instead of you like slap me in the face and saying, that's so fucking stupid, Mike, you're probably going to say, okay, I can see it. And it'll be a positive conversation, even if you think it's a ridiculous idea. But if I said to you, Andrew, I have this great idea to replace whiteout and I want to offer it to you, are you willing to put $100 down? Now the conversations around money, you may still be nice and say, I love your idea, but I don't have the money yet. If you're not willing to pay money, it's the action that proves the concept isn't good enough yet. I got to get to the point where people are, oh, yeah, when do I pay up and throwing down money? So the moral of the story is this. Don't ask people what they think, especially don't ask friends or acquaintances because it's socially appropriate to tell you positive things. Approach people you don't know and immediately get to the money conversation. Immediately say, hey, I got this idea for whiteout. I plan to sell it for $50 a unit, but you'd be one of my first. I'm willing to give it to you at cost, be $20. Would you be willing to do this? It's still a money conversation. You're mitigating some of their risk because they're not, they're the first early adopter, but you're also getting legitimate feedback. People speak the truth through their wallets and not their words.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to just, ask your sister or your mom, hey, what do you think about this? No, I don't think that's gonna work. Stick with your job.
I know. Hey, Ma, I got an idea. Oh, that's great, honey. Here, I'll make you some chicken soup too. Like, it's just a disaster.
You're such an angel.
You're such an angel. You're so handsome. It's a horrible path to go down. Approach strangers. And, so many good things are forced out of that. You approach a stranger, there is no rapport. You have to be able to present your concept concisely and effectively right outside the gate, right away. And when it comes to money, they can reject you so easily because they don't know who the hell you are anyway. They're the ultimate people to approach.
I like this. This is good. And it's almost as if you're actually just going for the pre-sale.
That's exactly what it is.
Because if you can get pre-sales, then that's like the ultimate, if you can actually exchange money in return for a service, like kind of like Kickstarter, where you're giving money up front in the hopes that you're gonna get this product in the future, because they don't all work out a lot of times.
That's exactly what it is, and right. So they fund you, and you're totally above the board and honest. You say, I'm just starting up. You're going to be funding. You're going to be getting started early with me, and I'm going to use some of these funds to grow the business. But you also tell them that by being an early adopter, how they're being awarded by it's being less expensive. Maybe you give them special services. I started a business with a partner serving accountants, and the accounting community does not know me from Adam. So we started approaching them and use this exact model. Here's the verbiage we use, and this might be something of value. We tied it into the story of Washington's army during the Revolution. We said, we're starting a new business. to serve accountants, and we're going to go against some big established entities. I won't mention their name, but there's some we do when we talk to our prospects. These big established entities that are out there that are really trying to put downward price pressure on the accounting industry. And I said, we realize we're like Washington's army crossing the Delaware here. We're going against a better equipped military. The British, they're prepared. This is what they do. We're a ragtag army, and this could absolutely fail. But if it's successful, we're going to change the entire industry. The entire globe is going to be permanently changed. So when we approach our prospects like that, that's the story we tell them. It shows them the potential upside, just like Washington's army. It could be the revolution that starts a whole new country. And that's what we're doing. We're asking them to come on board. We know how potentially absurd it is in the risk side, but how we're mitigating their risk is by being an early adopter, lower price point, but also benefits that no one else will receive, certain services that we won't make available to anyone else but the early adopters.
So would you say that this is kind of like one of the big pivots for someone who's kind of starting out, is to really start aiming for the pre-sale and actually collecting funds, and from here working on scaling that product?
It absolutely is. And I got to just call out the word pivot. I'm actually a disbeliever in the word pivot. It's very popular right now, and I'll tell you why in a second. But this is the first step, is seek out the market and sell it before you even have it. I do believe in the concept of a minimum viable product. Come in with just the concept and enough that will satisfy the customer's core need, and then try to sell it at a discount if you have to, and you probably will, just to get those early adopters on and learn from them. The problem I have with the word pivot is I've seen people pivot the crap out of their business into a business that they loathe. I mean, absolutely hate it. Yes, they're addressing what the customer wants. They listen. They address more of what the customer wants. They keep on listening and pivoting to what the customer wants. But the business spins out of any of their own desire as an owner, and then they hate their business. So I propose a different term besides pivot. I suggest using the word align. And what I mean by this is you have to respond to what the customer wants. There's no question about it. But as you adjust the customer's need, you always need to double check back to what is your passion and your desire. And if you're adjusting your business, it must stay in alignment with what you want, and then they'll be wildly successful. If you only do one and not the other, it's going to fall apart. If you just do what you want, but no one wants to buy it, no money, no sustainability. If you do what customers want, but you hate it, you're trapped back in that corporate job you were trying to get out of.
That was good. That was good.
Oh, I got fired. I got soapboxy there.
Yeah, that was really good. Woo! Keep going.
Yeah.
So this is good. This is good. So we've looked around. We've identified a problem that we see, and we come up with some sort of idea, some sort of solution on how we can solve that problem. And then we've gone out to actual potential clients, and we've started collecting some money. We've started exchanging value in the promise that we're going to return this product or service to them, hopefully as soon as possible. And so from this point, so we have some money. So now, what are some things that could happen that could prevent this business from succeeding? Like, maybe entry level, entrepreneur might be thinking he needs to get like an LLC. Like, what are your thoughts on that? And just what are some common pitfalls that could prevent this business from actually becoming a success?
Yeah. So the business formation, I believe, is critical. Now, you can run a business as a sole proprietor, which means under your social security number, you can report that for tax purposes and start running a business. You don't need to form anything. Now, that's true in the U.S., and internationally may be different. But an LLC or an S Corp or C Corp, there's all these different formations, provide what's called the corporate umbrella. And what that means is the business becomes its own entity. It literally gets a social security number. They call it an EIN, employer identification number, or a tax ID, but it's really a social security number. Now, your client does business with your company and not you directly. That's the umbrella. If there's a problem, they have if there's some form of repercussions, your client can take it out against the company, but you're protected to some degree behind the corporate veil. Now, they can pierce the corporate veil too, and they can get through it, but it does offer a very relevant, basic form of protection. So anyone that starts a business, I encourage them to start with an LLC or different. I maybe because I'm experienced with this, I don't hire an attorney or an accountant to do the setup. You can go online and set up an LLC in about 5 minutes, and there's some places that even automate the process for a minimal fee. It can be a few $100. So that's how I get started. I set up an LLC. Then I get the product ready at a minimum level so I can deliver it. Because time is of the essence here. If someone gives you some money, puts a little down payment on something, there is this continuum. It's called the lender-borrower's continuum. That's a fascinating continuum. If you take your hands and kind of make an X in front of your face, pretend that's on one of those charts that would be like the same chart you'd use for the stock market where the line goes up or down over time. Put the X in front of you. And what this is at the top left going down as you go right across the chart, that is the sense of responsibility of the borrower. You, the new business formation. When someone gives you money, at the moment they give you the money, you have the highest sense of obligation to pay it back, to deliver the service. But over time, as you can see with that X in front of your face, as you move to the right, our sense of obligation back to the person that gave us money actually decreases. Now, conversely, the person giving you the money for this product, they know on day one you're just starting up. They realize they're taking some risk. Their sense of return is the other line on this X. So it's in the bottom left corner. Their sense of return immediately is very low. But over time, as they wait, they start to anticipate more and more, saying, hey, when am I going to get what I was told I was going to get? So over time, their expectation increases. Well, the danger point is when the X crosses over, when the new business entrepreneur, your sense of obligation is dropped below the sense of the person that gave you money, their sense of your obligation to give back and give them what they want. And that can become a very dangerous point. They're expecting you to do something and you're not doing anything and you don't think you should. And they're like, what the F happened here? And it can become a real disaster and be a nightmare when they come after you and tell everyone how badly you suck. So realize time is of the essence. When you ask people for their money, even for a minimal product, your obligation should be to turn around quickly. Don't worry about perfection. Perfection will come over time. Prepare them for imperfection. Tell them you're just starting up, and if they don't like what you do, you're going to spend the time necessary to fix it and do it right. But make sure that you're delivering. If you can't deliver, then do the other step, and it's communicate. You got to keep a regular communication going with customers. I was saying, I'm actually writing an article about this, maybe even a book, that no news is still news. Like, if you have nothing to report, you got to tell the customer that you have nothing to report, but that you haven't forgotten them. If you just abandon them and they don't hear from you, they're going to think worst case scenario. And that's the 3 steps. Once you get some interest from customers, form that LLC or some kind of business structure to protect yourself. Secondly, make sure you have a product or service that's ready to be delivered pretty quickly. You got to move quickly, and no matter what, throughout, communicate.
I like that. One of the best ways that I've seen on Kickstarter is to really keep your audience engaged is with that regular communication. Like I've joined some Kickstarter campaigns and funded some programs where they were struggling to get their product, months ahead, like after they said that they would. And they just made fun videos. They just sent random stickers and they had constant communication, which just made me feel like, oh, I actually, I don't really care. This is actually great because they were staying engaged with me.
Totally. I mean, it's like any other relationship. Imagine a good friend of yours and they say to you, hey, yeah, let's stay in touch, and you never hear from them. What happens? That relationship starts to fade. You may not hate them, of course, but that your commitment to that relationship starts to fade. And even if they just stay in contact with you via Facebook and tweet you and then call every so often, even if you're thousands of miles apart, the relationship continues. And so this relationship with our business to our clients has to continue. Just got to communicate.
Yeah. And I think the big challenge for someone in this particular scenario is going to be the complaint of, or maybe not a complaint because it's actually true, but how do I find the time to do this? I'm working 50 hours a week. Like, how am I going to find the time to go out there and hustle? So I think it has a lot to do with like mindset and finding the time to actually go out, find clients, create the product. Like, how are they going to do this?
Yeah, so here's the beautiful thing. I would say that's your advantage. If you're already working 50 or 60 hours a week and you have maybe 10 hours a week to build this business that you're willing to put into it, it is compressing down the available amount of time, and it forces you to become innovative on how do you accomplish what you want to accomplish in 10 hours. This points back to Parkinson's theory. It's something I talk about extensively in Profit First when it comes to money. And basically the concept's this, that the less money we have available to us, the more innovative we become because we have to find ways to survive. The analogy I use there, and I'll tie this back in a second, but the analogy I use there is a tube of toothpaste. You and I get a tube of toothpaste. When it's a brand new tube, we put these long beads on our toothbrush. Toothpaste everywhere, man. You pour water over your toothbrush. The toothpaste falls in the sink. You're like, see you later. Enjoy the bacteria down there. But when you have an empty tube of toothpaste, now our whole behavior changes. We bend it over the corner of the sink. We're biting on the tube. God forbid any toothpaste falls in the sink. We're diving in after it to scoop it back out, bacteria and all. And what that points to is the less available resources, the more we're going to squeeze out of it. Well, this is true for toothpaste. It's true for money. It's true for time. And when we make less time available to accomplish something, if we are truly committed to accomplishing it, it's going to force us to find ways to build systems or processes or techniques of ways of getting things done in that time slot. A lot of people say, when a test is coming or a project's due tomorrow, that's when I do my best work. Yeah, because you're out of time. You have to do your best work. So if you have less time because you're already working the corporate job, I'm telling you, man, that's your advantage. Use that compression of time to become very innovative.
This is a really good example. That's a good analogy.
The toothbrush, yeah, the toothpaste.
And I was thinking like I'm writing like where to take the conversation next, and I was like, oh, what books could we recommend? And I'm like, actually, The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur is exactly what it's the book that it's like the perfect book for this scenario right here. So yeah, guys, check out The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, Mike Michalowicz on Amazon. As soon as you type in the toilet paper, it just shows up for you on Amazon.
Yeah.
They just do it for you. One thing that I should have asked you earlier, but it's what are your thoughts on creating a business plan before you actually are kind of identifying the problems? I might just throw this back in the beginning.
Yeah. So when it comes to a business plan, I'm like not a fan. I'm not a fan of the traditional business plan, because the traditional business plan says figure out the numbers, figure this out, figure that out, and then the day you open your business, it's like you're out battling a war now. Like no one can plan for that. Once the first bullet flies, it can be pure mayhem. So instead of planning all this tactical stuff that we're told to put into the business plan, I suggest figure out the vision of where you want to end up if your dream comes true. Then start moving it forward in increments. Spend the first 90 days, the first quarter, trying to make this business get off the ground, get those initial customers, those early adopters giving you some money, see what they want. Then look at your vision again after 90 days of where you want to be. Look at what customer demand is. Look at the reality and then adjust accordingly. Realign with your vision, your purpose, your goals, but also customer demand. Then you push forward another 90 days. You sit back for a day and you realign. And by keep on doing this realignment to the reality of customer demand and what your business is going through matched up to your vision, you will kind of zigzag your way to where you want to go.
The one thing that's made all the difference in my life, business, and relationships is reading the right books and taking action. So I want to give you a free gift. It's a list of the top 30 books that every man must live by. So here's how you can get it. Just grab your phone out right now. Go ahead and do that. I know it's near you. Okay, you have it out. I know you're thinking about doing it, but you haven't just grabbed your phone out. So just get your phone out and you can text KFM free. That's one word, KFM free to 38470. Again, that's KFM free to 38470. I guarantee you here in this list, you're going to find many books that are just going to dramatically change your life. I think that's just a place that I've just seen, guys can get stuck. It's like, oh, I'm working on the business plan. Like I'm still trying to work on it. And it's months go by, years go by. And
oh my God,
the idea is like over.
I know. Is that insane?
Or someone else has actually just took action and then they just took that idea and
and then you're like, oh my God, that was my idea. They stole it from me. No, they had the balls to do it,
Yeah. So that takes us to the next, like, how do we just end or just stop procrastinating and just start taking action on what we've kind of discussed?
Yeah. Well, the ultimate, and you did it, Andrew, and I've done it, is you got to get uncomfortable. You see, comfort is the facilitator for procrastination. There's no urgency. If you're sitting comfortably in a chair and I say, hey, get up, but you're comfortable, why would you ever get up? But if I lit that chair on fire, you'll get up like real fast. So,
Okay.
so if you're uncomfortable, you start to move. That's why in my life, I've always realized if I'm going to make something happen, I got to go all in. And yes, it's terrifying. And yes, outsiders will see as the ultimate risk, but I see as the safest move. I abandon the prior chapter of my life or my career or my business, and I start the new one as an all-in bet. And therefore, I have to make it successful. So I truly believe if you want to go after your business and this is really, really your dream, then you got to commit to it at that level and go all in on it. Because inevitably, the people that do go all in, they're forced to be successful. They have no alternative. There is no plan B, C, D, E. You got plan A and you're going for it and you got to make it happen. Otherwise, I just hear rah-rah after rah-rah saying, oh, one day I'm going to start that business. I'm tired of the corporate life. One day I'll get going. And one day is put off another day. One day you notice that you're 20 years older and you still haven't done it.
Yeah. And one area that you can get so easily caught up in is like this just consuming content, consuming articles. There's just so much good content available. There's so many good books out there. There's so many good bloggers and websites out there that are, in your niche that you're interested in. And I think that can really slow you down, actually, when you're just consuming content, and you're forgetting to actually produce the content that, whether that's a product or service, but I think that's a deadly space as well.
Yeah, isn't that the irony, is that the learning actually can trap you. So I remember in college, we used to make fun of the students that were on the 10-year program or the 7-year program or whatever, because they were just stuck in the learning part of school, and it was easier to stay learning than actually go out and get a corporate job. Well, ironically, that exists even more after people get the jobs, that it's very comfortable to keep investigating the opportunity. Ooh, you learn more about it. I feel more and more prepared. And then we stay in this trap of good feelings about being more and more prepared, which I'll tell you, you'll never be prepared when you start a business. No matter how much learning and reading you do, when you go into it, you're going to be blindsided by stuff you never anticipated. But we get trapped in this comfort of just learning and learning and learning. So I feel like I'm sacrilegious saying this because I'm the guy who writes books that I want people to learn from. Like, put down my book, man. Like, get that business started. Come back to the book after you start, and maybe you'll get even more value out of it.
Yeah. I like the idea of taking double the action of what you just. If you read for an hour, go take 2 hours of action. If you spent a weekend reading, then you got to spend the next week taking action. So yeah. I think that's a good way to just kind of learn and take action, get results, and move forward.
Exactly. That's exactly what you got to do.
What could be like? We could just kind of summarize what we've done into action items since this is what we're talking about. But like, what kind of challenge? I'd like to create a challenge for the listeners. So some people will take the challenge. Sure. Some people will be like, you know what, Mike and Andrew, I'm going to do it. and I'm
going to do it. They got so jacked up on that call on that podcast. I'm all in now, man. And others will be like, that guy Mike's a total tool, Andrew. Why do you have jerks like that?
Exactly.
So the people that feel compelled, here's my challenge to you. 5 things over 5 days. The 5-5 challenge, we'll call it. I want you to write down the 5 things that frustrate you. And it doesn't have to be big things. It doesn't have to be, the world's coming to an end and we got to serve world hunger. But if that frustrates you, that's one of them. But it could be simply that you stub your toe when you walk in the dark. Whatever frustrates you, write down 5 things today that frustrated you or were a headache or caused some form of annoyance. That's what we're trying to get to. Do it for the next 5 days. After that, I promise you, from those 25 things listed, you'll probably have 3 or 4 potential business ideas. I promise you. That's the thing you got to do.
I like that. And then just continue on with not you, but and then just kind of like looking back, it's like we, from there, just start coming up with some solutions for that problem.
Yeah. Then seek out people that have this problem. Start complaining about it. Rant about it. Go on Facebook or whatever and say, you know what pisses me off? I stub my toe all the time and it causes so much pain. And then ask the question, do you experience that? Do you stub your toe? Wait until you see how many people respond. There's your freaking customer, your prospect list, building it themselves right there. Well, then you can say, you know what? I invented this steel toe shoe. It's the heaviest slipper you'll ever see, but it's made out of pure lead. And the next time you stub your toe against the stool, you'll actually shatter the stool. Yeah, who's in with me?
Not a good idea. No one wants it.
No one
that was a
wants it.
horrible episode.
I accidentally kicked my own leg, and I shattered my own leg. This sucks. Yeah, it's a bad idea.
It is a bad idea, but we are learning, and you still have 24 other things to test.
Right.
This is good, and I like this whole the idea of just kind of 25 things, because then you're probably going to develop the habit of identifying these problems, and I think that's really kind of the lens of an entrepreneur, is just walking around and seeing opportunity as potential business opportunities.
Yeah. No, totally. And it's funny, even as we're talking about now, I'm looking around my desk and I'm saying, God, my desk is a mess. Like, that frustrates me. And now I'm thinking, like, maybe there could be a desk organizing system that hasn't been invented yet. And, you start going down these paths. There's countless opportunities out there. There was a saying that, everything that could be invented has been invented, and we all make fun of that. But I think a lot of us, while we make fun of it, we actually believe it. We're like, I can't do this. I can't make something new. There's so many smart people out there. No, there's not many people, and there's a lot of smart people out there, but there's not many people applying that smartness. Be that guy or gal.
I like that. Right now, I'm thinking of something that frustrates me, and I think here's just an opportunity for somebody. I think anyone is, most podcasters do their own editing because it's like their pride and joy. It's like, oh, only I can touch it. It's mine. It's because we're kind of scared to let go of our work, and I think if someone had a business where it's like, hey, we'll you just send us the video file and we'll edit and chop it up and add your intros, outros, and then we'll upload it to your Libsyn, and then we'll summarize it, and then we'll upload that to your blog. And if that was like
the podcast bakery, there's the
podcast bakery.
Send us your ingredients. Yeah, I love it.
I'd be interested in something like that. And what's like a real problem or real challenge that you have right now in your business?
So now in my business, I don't know, but I'll tell you.
Oh, you're like my life. Oh, I've got this and that.
I'm wearing them. So I'm wearing socks made out of Kevlar. So someone solved this problem. What I hated about my socks was, it's the middle of winter right now. I like to wear thick, heavy socks. But every time you put them through the wash, they get weaker and weaker, and they'd fall down. So it's like, God, did anyone make a sock that doesn't, like, I like to go out, shovel the driveway, chop wood and stuff. Like, does anyone have like a durable sock? And someone thought of the idea of using Kevlar to make a sock. And sure enough, these things, like I literally could shoot a bullet at it, and it could take a bullet. My sock could take a bullet. So that was a problem, and someone solved it. My problem for me personally is my desk's a mess. I'm looking at my Kindle right now. I get frustrated sometimes when I navigate Kindle. It over navigates and skips pages ahead and back. I wish that was solved. I have a dart gun here. So we have an office there's 3 of us in the office, and we have dart guns. We shoot each other. I got the weakest dart gun, but it's the smallest one, so I can kind of sneak up on one of my colleagues here and shoot him in the back with a dart gun. I want a higher power dart gun that is also
a machine gun, like an assault rifle.
But that can go incognito. Like, I need the combo package.
Oh, I see.
So I can
you got to get a silencer on it.
Oh my God, dart gun silencer! I can take Ron out right now. He can get him on a sales call. I can shoot him in the head. I love it.
Get the red laser so you'll never miss.
Laser sighting dart gun. That's badass.
I think for guys like you in the office, I think that's good. I think we've gone through some really good content here. It's just emails I've been getting almost ever since I started. And whenever I survey my audience, this comes up as a very important subject matter that like a lot of guys would like solved in their life. It's just like, how can I just earn? I don't need to be the next Steve Jobs, but if I could just earn another a couple more $1,000s a month doing something that I like on the weekends, then that would help my life out tremendously. And I think we've really helped out, solved a lot of those questions.
I'll tell you this: if you don't do it, it will be your biggest regret. There's a saying, and I'm not sure who said it, and I'll probably bastardize it, but it basically says that at the end of our lives, we will more regret the things that we didn't do than the things we did. So go do now, otherwise you're going to regret it eternally. And I know too many people. Actually, I had one of these calls last night of the same person discussing the same business concept. We're now 6 years into it. And he's at the point where he's comfortable in just discussing it. He's never going to do it, and he's going to die. I hate to say this, but regretting he never did it. Go for it. The only loss is not doing it. If you do it and you fall flat in your face, at least you can say, I had the courage to do it, and I learned about it, and it didn't work out. But at least you'll have no regrets.
And then you could just move on to the next thing.
And move on, yeah. Move on. Make the dart gun. There's my dart gun. See how loud that is?
That is loud. Wow.
Yeah, make the dart gun silencer.
Oh, man, that's got to work. I think that quote, I don't know if we can get anything better than that. That was good. In terms of, you got like no regrets. And I think that's a common theme amongst most of my episodes. Whenever I ask somebody the question, like, what would you do if you could talk to your 20-year-old self? It's like, I would tell them to just get started now. Like, that's out of the 130 episodes, it's like almost every guy has said, I wish I would have got started now, or I wish I would have got started when I was 20. I would have been so much more prepared. I would have had so much more results. And then they always say something like, and then I wish I would have stopped drinking or something like that.
Yeah.
But we can cut it here. And it's, first of all, check out The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. This first book. And then, as you kind of progress in your business, it's like each book is there to help you guide the way. The Pumpkin Plan as your business has grown, and then Profit First as you start to realize you're not getting all the profits and you'd like more of your own money. 3 really great books. I've owned all 3, and I've gone through them. They're really effective. And so you can check out his website, Mike Michalowicz. That's MIKEMICHALOWICZ.com. Boom. That's right.
You're bringing it.
All right, Mike, it's been a pleasure having you be on the show for a third time. I think we're just going to continue going every 4 or 6 months.
Man, I love it. It's just such a fun energy show. So thanks for having me, Andrew.
Absolutely. All right, we'll put the cut there.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and 1 million downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we've just started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a review in iTunes. It really helps to grow the podcast. Guys, 2015 is the official year of living with purpose, where every day you do only the things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. Check out kfmfree.com to get free tools I've created to help you crush life. Again, that's kfmfree.com. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, and I'll see you in the next episode.